Okay. Right now, we are going to talk about or do a lesson on the houses in the zodiac wheel. The houses are different from the signs. The houses describe sectors in life. So, the different sectors in life is what's described when we're talking about the houses. Now, the signs are the characteristics of behaviors and identities and things of that nature. Bit different from the houses, and I'm going to explain the difference. First, beginning with this lesson on the houses, what they mean, and also what sign they're represented by in the zodiac wheel. It's not going to pertain to your particular natal chart. It's going to pertain to the actual astrological wheel, and I'm going to explain how you're able to like parallel your own personal chart to the original chart as well. Okay, so let's start with, and I've made it so that you can see a photo that's going to be playing on the side of this video in some type of way. Okay, all right, so we're going to start with the first house. As you can see, I had put one word inside of each triangle. And each triangle, by the way, is 30 degrees. The astrological wheel as a whole is 360 degrees. Okay. Each house is 30 degrees, and there's 12 different houses. All right. So 30 degrees assigned to each house. So again, each sector, you can call it like industries if you want to look at it from a business perspective or whatever, right? But each sector, I put one word in it to simplify describing it because there are a multitude of things that go to specific houses. However, it may confuse you or throw you for a loop. So to simplify it, I want to put one word, keep one keyword in there so you can understand on a whole, on a general aspect, what that specific house is about. And then when you get more versed in astrology, you'll be able to pick up on the other components that pertain to that house. So starting with the first house is represented by Aries. Okay, Aries is the baby of the zodiac. That is the first sign of the whole astrological wheel. And Aries deals with self. It's a solo energy. It's an entity all by itself, and it just loves to go. So Aries is full of energy. It's just like a baby. As soon as it hits the ground, it's looking around. The first thing a baby want to do is, right, they want to walk. So they try to like inch up, and they start crawling, and they crawl fast, and they're just eager to get up, right? And lo and behold, it takes them about a year tops, some a little bit longer, some less, for them to be able to take that necessary step to be able to walk and run for the rest of their lives, right? So that's what Aries is about. It's all about the self, though. It's pretty much ego driven. Energy is there, ambition is there, and it's ruled by the planet Mars. Okay, so Mars is representative of action, it's representative of war, knives, cuts, bruises, um, just basically the body in motion is what Mars represents, and therefore it rules over the sign of Aries. But that's your first house, right? So notice I put the first house is keyworded with the word self. Now, also keep this in mind. Whenever you're doing your natal chart or you're reading your natal chart, the first house is going to be your ascendant, always. And as you can see in this picture, right, Aries is the first house. But when you get your natal chart and you see your natal chart, Aries won't necessarily be there. Okay, whatever your ascendant sign is going to be, excuse me, where the sign of Aries is. Okay, so already now we're getting a bit confusing. However, if you listen to me and you look at the visual, and then you're able to compare your chart to this chart later on, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. So let's say you have an Aquarius ascendant in your natal chart. The same way that this picture is set up right here, your picture is going to be set up, except Aquarius is going to be where the number one is in the first house. Pisces is going to be where the number two is in the second house, where Taurus is. And then Aries is going to be in the third house, where number three, where Gemini is. Okay? Now, with that being said, the first house also, because it's your ascendant, represents how people identify you. So let's say you have an Aquarius ascendant. You may not identify yourself as an Aquarius ascendant because you have a Gemini sun. You understand what I'm talking about? So you may look at the whole zodiac thing, you might be like, I don't really tap into that Aquarius thing, but I know I'm a Gemini, right? And if that's the case, it's because that's your soul, that's your solar power, that's your solar energy, that's your DNA, your spinal cord is a Gemini. So you're looking at it like, oh no, deep in my soul, I know I'm a Gemini. But other people from the outside looking in may see you and say, yeah, they act like an Aquarius. They act like an Aquarius. And then you may be able to pick up on signs that you are like an Aquarius as well, because there's cases where people's ascendants are stronger than their sun signs. I, for one, happen to be one. If you look at me on a one-on-one basis, like interactive wise, you would say, oh, yeah, I see you as a Virgo more than I see you as a Pisces. But if you see me in my creative mode, which is my soul, you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, he's definitely a Pisces. Or if you just look at my physical makeup, you'll be like, yeah, he's a Pisces, he's a Pisces. You know what I'm saying? If you see me move or if you see me walk, you'll say, oh, yeah, he's a Pisces. But just speaking one-on-one, you can perceive me to be a Virgo. I even perceive myself when I watch my own videos. I look at myself and I'm like, yeah, I definitely embody a lot of the Virgo traits because I'm analytical and I'm speaking from a critique standpoint a lot of the times. All right, so as I say, the ascendant is the protector of the sun. So, like for me, I'm a Virgo ascendant, right? So when I see things, I analyze them as a Virgo would, and I see how it can either help or harm my Pisces sun because I'm truly a Pisces to the core. So if I do music or whatever the case may be, and I see that it's being observed in a way that can damage the Pisces in me, I I revise it in some type of way. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's the Virgo protecting my Pisces. So in your case, if you're an Aquarius ascendant, your Aquarius, which is deals with higher cognitive thinking processes, right? So Aquarius is really like the epitome of the God complex that's striving for perfection for all humanity. So you may look at life that way and say, okay, well, what is the Gemini doing that may be sporadic or just based out of nervous energy? Is it helping or is it harming my Gemini sun? And with that being said, you come to an assessment of how you're going to go forward as these two people. So, sometimes we hear about like alter egos and stuff like this. It's right in astrology right here. Your ascendant in your sun sign is your alter egos. That's your first alter egos at that. Like some of us have the ability to have more, especially if you're a duality sign, especially if you're like a Pisces or if you're like a Gemini. You can come up with more than just two alter egos. So now let me get back to the lesson, right? Aries deals with the self and the embodiment of the characteristics of the self. A lot of the times, whatever goes on in this house, so let's talk about the house now. Whatever goes on in this house is going to pertain to you. You and predominantly you, nobody else. Okay, so let's say you have a planet here. Whatever planet is there, you're going to embody that in as pertaining to you, not to other people. So let me use an example rather quickly. Let me use a good example too. Let's say you have Saturn here. Let's say you have Saturn in the first house, right? That means that you're going to do hard work on yourself. You're probably going to be your worst critic. You're going to face delays in things that you want to go rush out and do, which the first house is built for. You may be stopped in your tracks when doing so because Saturn is a planet of delay, restriction, right? Do the work first. Let me see results first. You can't go out that fast. I want to see something first. So that's the type of effect Saturn would have inside of this house. But it still may deal with entrepreneurship, right? Because Aries is the sign of creation, is the sign of leadership in the way that entrepreneurship is built into the world as well. So Saturn will be teaching life's lessons to you in the first house. It may not be you teaching lessons to others, like that would be an eighth house construct. It would be teaching lessons to you. You would be feeling those lessons in you only. Okay? So let's move on to the second house now. Second house deals with personal values. And may I note this too as well. As you go around the wheel, you'll notice that all of these things have, all of these houses are like in order. So if you look at it as an order, you'll see how you can put your life together based on this order. And you don't have to actually go in order. You can dance around. But if you look at the whole entire wheel, like let's say you look at your 10th house right now before we even get there, and you say, oh, I can't wait to get to my career. I want to do my career. I can't wait to get to my career. You'll understand that before you get there, you're a baby. You're in Aries. You are a baby. And to get there, you're going to have to go through some work. And if you look at this as an order, you'll see how it could benefit you and how it could behoove you to actually take the order. And then once you get skilled in this, you'll see how you'll be able to do shortcuts and dance around the board and, utilize your aspects to be in this area and that area. So you don't necessarily have to take an order, but that is once you are more versed in astrology. So let's get back to the second house. Second house is represented by Taurus. So what Taurus, the sign of Taurus, well, let me not really talk about the sign of Taurus yet, but the second house deals with values. All right, because I'm gonna go do a video about the signs next. The second house is about values, so personal values. In the first house, you're dealing with self, right? You're dealing with yourself. So as you move about as self, and you start to interact or experience things on your own, you start to develop what? A value system. You start saying, okay, I like black, but I'm not necessarily crazy about green. Right? So I value the black pen. Give me the black one. Give me the black shirt. I don't want the green one. Right? So this is what the second house is about, personal values. Also, personal values can come with the family because now you're not only a solo individual from the first house, you were born into a household most times, right? So now you got a brother over here, you may have a sister over here, you got mom over there, maybe you got dad over there, depending on how you came up, right? So now you build into yourself the value system pertaining to your family as well. So family structure does begin in the second house. It's just not brought to the full extent of the fourth house as of yet. So also what deals with second house is very important is finances, right? But this is not the same type of finances from the 11th house. It's different. Finances in the 11th house, which we'll get to, deals with net revenue, streams of income. Finances in the second house deals with savings. So let's say you're born into a family with wealth and they have like some account set up for you, whatever the case may be. That would represent your second house. And even if you work on your own, you start working as soon as you can get working papers and you start working on your own. It's not about what you spend. You're going to spend on what you personally value, yes. But when people are assessing you, other people's, other entities in the world, they're going to be looking at how much personal savings you have because they're going to take that as a recording of how much you value yourself. Very important. Okay, third house. Third house deals with communication, okay, on an overall aspect. Third house, there's a lot of stuff that goes on there, but for the most part, it's how you communicate with other people. So third house, you'll hear, is also associated with the community. So now you're not just the self that's born into the world. You're not just the self that's inside of your immediate vicinity in your household with your family members, so you build personal values. Now you're taking a walk outside and you're going to talk to the people in the neighborhood. You're going to play in the park with the other kids and stuff. So this is how you first start learning how to interact. This is like the baby who's just beginning to walk now and they're going out to go play with the other people, right? So you'll learn your communication skills here, and it also deals with fundamental learning, the basics, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s. Not necessarily the education from the 9th house, which is higher education, right? That deals with industries and applying, skill sets to careers and industries. This deals with the foundation of communication. Just the basic head nod when you walk past someone, or the wave, or just the stare, the look, the glance, the communications, the handshake, however you choose to do it. Third house represents this. It also represents errands. If you go to run errands in the immediate community, if you're going to drop a package at the post office, that's third house. If you're going to mail a letter in the mailbox, that's third house. If you're on your phone and you're sending an email, that's third house. If you're going to see your siblings, That's third house as well. Third house deals with the siblings. All right. Now, fourth house. Fourth house deals all with home and family. Home and family. Because now you've learned how to go out into the community to speak with the other people. So now you're a representation of what? Of your family and your personal values, your lineage, where you came from. So you can go back home now with your self identity, how you personally value your family, how you communicate in the community, and how you come back to bring that all home with you. So, it's like dinner table talk when you say, okay, well, what did you learn today, son? What did you learn today, daughter? And then you get to explaining things to them. And sure, your values may shift even pertaining to your family members. You may look at them differently now and be like, well, so and so works there, but you told me I shouldn't work in a place like this because blah, 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 blah. And I think you're wrong. You know what I mean? So things, family issues, everyone has them. So things can change, or you could just have a happy-go-lucky family. Whatever the case may be, it deals with cancer because cancer is well, again, I'm not going to pinpoint the signs just yet. I'm going to say that for another video. But fourth house deals with the home structure, and family. And those are the two main constructs that you'll ever hear about when it comes to the fourth house. Also, fourth house can also represent income that you bring into the house. Okay, so it's like second house deals with your personal income, and then fourth house can deal with, well, okay, do you break bread with your family members? Because if so, like let's say if the head of the household says, okay, we got bills to pay in here, and everyone's of age to work now, so you take the lights, I'm going to take the gas, you take the rent, and then we'll like rotate or whatever the case may be. So that also deals with fourth house. Okay, moving right along. Fifth house. The word that I have there is fun. Yes, there's a lot of things that go on inside of the fifth house, such as creativity. Like this is the real creativity of when you take what you learned from the fourth, third, and second house and first house, and then you start creating. It's not just like the first house, which is the creation of humanity. It's more about, okay, what will you create as an individual now? Deals with fifth house. But for the most part, it's leisure. It's about having fun. It's about speculative matters. It says, okay, well, I have a little money now. Let's go to Vegas. I want to have fun. I want to hang out. Like everything is so close to home, and let me take a trip somewhere. Let me go somewhere. Let me take pictures, selfies on the beach or whatever the case may be. You want to go experience something that is fun, that is outside of your immediate structure, because you may feel bogged down by your family. You may feel bogged down by your neighborhood, seeing the same thing every day. So you want to just experience something different. So this is where you find your self-identity, because you say, okay, what can I create on my own to like move? Because now you're moving away from the home a bit. It's right after the house of home. So you're like, okay, well, what can I do on my own? Where's my creative ability? What can I build here on this earth or create here on this earth that makes me stand out or be me, so they can know that it's me? It deals with fifth house as well. Deals with romance. And I still say fun as an overall thing, because romance is fun too. It's not until later on, and you'll hear me describe in the houses, that you hear something that is more serious when it comes to relationships. But when it's in its infancy, and we can all attest to this, when the relationships are brand new, they're like so awesome, and both people are in awe. It's because it's romance time. It's more of a romantic approach to the relationship. So I associate romance with fun as well. Moving right along. The sixth house deals with work. All right. And let's look at this in order again. Like if we look at this in order, right? Let's say you found something that you can create on your own, right? But it doesn't necessarily make money. But you had so much fun creating it, right? And then you went out on a date with your sweetheart or your guy or whatever the case may be, and then it's like, okay, that was great, but how do I continue doing that without running through all of the family money? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I do that on a continuous basis, or at least do it more often? Because I want to have that type of fun again. So this is when you understand that you got to start going into the work environment. You got to understand what the work industry is all about, and how you can obtain wealth, because your creation or your creativity may not make money. And we can attest to this as well when you hear about starving artists and things of that nature, how much they got to go through before they finally make it, if they make it. It's a real speculative chance, right? That's again, fifth house deals with speculation, stock markets and stuff, gambling. I left that out. So it's like, creativity is a gamble. It's not something as concrete as people need food to survive. So for that understanding, we know that if we enter the agriculture industry, we will have a job there. We will have a job there from the beginning of time until food no longer grows. And when is that going to be? Probably not ever. So we know for a fact there's going to be a job in the agriculture industry, right? So we say, okay, let me put down the music for now, whatever creation, let me put down painting for now, and let me jump into this work environment. You may not necessarily like the job, but it doesn't matter at this point, right? You're still learning. So you go into the work environment. That's what was sixth house is about. Sixth house is also about health. So let's make the correlation here, right? And that's sixth house is important, more important than other people try to make it or emphasize, because if you're in a work environment that's not healthy for you, which a lot of people are, that's why healthcare industry is such a big deal, right? And job satisfaction should be a bigger deal, because if you're not happy where you work at, it takes a toll on your life. You become stressful every Monday morning. You don't really want to go into work. You're working at a place that you don't like. You're doing it for the paycheck, this, that, and the third. So you see how this correlation is made, and that's why it behooves one to go into an industry that they can actually feel healthy in. And everyone doesn't have that luxury. However, everyone should seek to do so, and I'm going to make that point inside of the 10th house. Okay, but those are the two major things that the 6th house is about, and which you'll always hear is work and health. But I put work all together because if you work on yourself, if you work on your body, like me, particularly right now, I put 6th house as health, and health is my work. Like that's my job because I have a career now. Okay, but I'm gonna speak more about that in the 10th house. 7th house. Okay, 7th house deals with relationships. I say they deal with business relationships. Okay, you may hear they deal with personal and business relationships. I say they deal with business relationships, and I'm gonna tell you why. Relative to the 5th house, let's go back to the 5th house, right? When we was talking about romance, it deals with romance. Those initial few dates that you go on with the person that you like. Eventually, after you start making some money in the 6th house, right? You get to the 7th house and you start seeing how much time away that you've spent from your romantic conquest, how much time you spent away from your childlike creations, your creative spirit. It's sort of like a sacrifice. You put things on hold to go get the bacon, right? So then you start making better decisions or just different decisions because you come to the conclusion that, you know what, how strong is the love going to be when I'm not there? I got to spend time away from her, him, my family members, the community. So how important am I still to them after I'm working? So you start saying to yourself, and then you start figuring out your worth, not just on your personal values, but your worth to other people inside of business relationships, because you're in a work environment now. You're getting paychecks now. How much you save depends on your personal values, how much you're still spending. You may start spending more money on your 5th house creativities or whatever the case may be. And say, because your entrepreneurial spirit may still be there, so you don't save as much, So you may be looking at others now like, look, if you're going to be in my life, I need you here for a reason, because I need to make more money so I can save more money and show people what my personal value really is. Or maybe that's not the case. Maybe you just like being grandiose and you like to spend on the finer things in life, and that's cool too. It's just that if that's what your celestial makeup is made of, you're going to understand this even more. Like, listen, I need people or I need relationships in my life that's going to contribute and add on to this building of wealth and resources, even if it's information. Okay, so you're going to make different types of decisions when you deal with the people that you mess with. Now, if people say personal relationships inside of the 7th house, I look at them like, what are you talking about? You had a personal relationship inside of the 5th house. You just had a romantic weekend with so-and-so. And, you probably spent a nice penny. Maybe you did a Netflix and chill, maybe you didn't. But now we're in the 7th house. So this is where things become what? They become serious. So you may have not shown that romantic conquest or all of you, or your serious side in that moment. Why? Because fifth house deals with fun. It deals with leisure. You don't want to talk about business and all of that, what you got to do at work and everything in order to have that type of experience with your significant other. You just want to lay back, and you don't want to flood them with that type of stress or put your own problems on them, and vice versa, right? But now in the seventh house, if you say, okay, if you really want to be with me or like that, then you got to know about some of the stuff. This, I work from 9 to 5, or I work from 5 to 9. I got a second job over here. That's why you've been calling me. I haven't been responding because I'm busy. I'm at work. You know what I'm saying? And then the decision gets made. Are you still there or are you not? And not only that, how much you make now. So let's talk about eighth house. Eighth house deals with other people, flat out. Eighth house deals with a lot of different stuff: sex, psychoanalysis, research, but it definitely deals with other people's money. Okay, and I mean, when I mean other people's money, I mean to the extent of, um, you know, insurance plans and marriage certificates, and because in the seventh house you linked up possibly with a marriage partner, right? And when I say marriage, remember, marriage is a business deal, so that's seventh house. But when you get into the eighth house, it's like, okay, well, how much money do you make, girl or guy? You know what I'm saying? How much money do y'all make together? Because it's other people's money. It also deals with other people's money who give you money. So debt lenders, mortgages. Hey, okay, I see you make such X, Y, and Z. So here, you can have a loan for X, Y, and Z because I know you're good for it. All right? Other people's money, other people, period. It also deals with people who gravitate towards you, right? And we'll get into later in the signs of how that will pertain or apply to the sign that is actually in the eighth house. But for the most part, that's what the eighth house is about: other people and secrets. So it's more of like an isolated thing. It's not. It's your family house, but an advanced level, a more mature level, dealing with outsiders, right? Other people. But when you deal with other people, you start learning secret stuff about them that they don't necessarily tell the world. The world. Okay, so the eighth house is really not public. It's a secret house. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Now, ninth house. Ninth house, in a nutshell, is education, but higher education, like scholastic education, or at least the type of education that comes from so many years of experience. Like you have the hands-on knowledge to teach classes or whatever. Sometimes you hear about entrepreneurs who say, "I didn't spend a day in college and I'm rich." You know what I'm saying? Because I applied myself and now I teach because of what I went through, whatever case may be. So that can also be a sign of knowledge, but it deals more along the lines of spiritual knowledge, like religious knowledge, or just really like life lesson knowledge, or it deals with higher education from academia, whatever type of advanced course that you have to take apart from life's fundamentals that you like learn in the third house. And this is why I said there's a difference between third house and ninth house. This is where you learn it in the ninth house. And this is really a boss house. You may not always hear about this, but ninth house is a really boss and bossy house. So whatever's going on there, pay close attention to it. Don't just overlook it and say, okay, that's education. Look at it closer, because this is where the bosses meet. And this is where everyone prepares for the 10th house. So even your associates, the other people that you met in the 8th house, they will have some type of inclination or investment going on when y'all get to the 9th house. This may be like, this is just pretty much the people who understand that you do what you do and you're worth the money. So now they're like sitting at a circle. I wouldn't necessarily say board of directors just yet, but it's something like that. Okay, so ninth house also deals with travel. Ninth house deals with publications. So when I say travel here, though, I mean long distance travel, not like the travel in the third house, which is around the immediate community. This is long distance travel, so it's like overseas. You know what I mean? Okay. 10th house deals with career. 10th house deals with career, and career, sometimes people get this mistaken as well. There's 6th house, work environment, and then there's 10th house, career. Career goes more along the lines of you may not get even paid for doing what you're doing in the 10th house. Okay? So really what's here, and as you can see, what started in the 5th house is your entrepreneurship creation. Not the spirit of it. The spirit of it is still in the first house, but the creation, the actual, look, I made this, I did this, takes place in the fifth house, right? And in the back of your mind, for those entrepreneurial types, they're like, I can't wait to actually do this on a larger, grander scale, right? So they say, they go through the motions of the sixth, the seventh, and the eighth house, ninth house, and they build themselves up to finally get to the 10th house. So this is known for recognition, your status. And that's why it's ruled by Capricorn. I must mention Capricorn right here because Capricorn is the earth sign that climbs, that utilizes its ambition for what? For status, to be recognized for something, and it believes in hard work and determination to get that done, to reach that status, right? So this is what 10th house is about. So you may be making money at work. Let's say you work in the gym, because it deals with work environment too, right? So we use that as a great example. Let's say you work in the gym and you make great money at the gym. Not only do you work there and get a paycheck for working there, but you also have personal clients that come in Wednesday, Fridays, and Saturdays. So you make a pretty decent amount there. You might even have a YouTube channel going on. So you get all types of, revenues coming in, right? But that's not what you want to, that's not what you really want to do. That's just your job. Little do people know you're a book writer, right? You're a real book writer. So you got about 3 books published out, and you got, well, let's not even say 3 books published. Let's say you got 1 book ready to be published, or 1 book published, and you want to do a second. Let's say that, right? And the reason why I use that as an example is because I want to explain, like, you may be doing 10th house stuff and not getting rich for it, not getting a paycheck for it, but it doesn't matter to you because that's how much you want to do it, and that's how much you want to be known for doing that. That's how much you want a career from doing that. So let's say, yeah, you work in a gym and everything, but you're really more concerned about publishing a book that about the body, about the human anatomy, right? You're huge on that. So you like go to college in the 9th house for anthropology, or whatever the case may be, right? And then you're like writing books based on that. That's what you're really aiming to be recognized for. And that's why I mentioned 1 book, because you may not have made it to that status of being recognized for it. However, if you keep working at the gym and then you start pitching your ideas at the gym to your clients and they start buying that book, then you understand that eventually the hard work, the determination to keep climbing in that area is going to pay off. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it won't happen overnight, but next thing you know, you're recognized and you have status for being an author in that area. So that's all what the 10th house is about. Recognizing, being recognized, and having status. It's a powerful house. Okay, now moving along into 11th house. Another reason why I mentioned that you may not be necessarily getting paid in the 10th house is because sometimes you have to be recognized for something first in order for the correct people to align with you to bring you vast amounts of revenue. 11th house is the big money house. And it's because, as you heard the saying goes, sometimes you got to leave the people that you grew up with or your immediate friends in order to blossom into what you're supposed to be. So these people in the 11th house may not necessarily be the people that you grew up with from the neighborhood. These may be people from all types of walks of life who are positioned better to help you make your dreams and your wishes come true. So those dreams, that creativity that has been applied in the 5th house, which may have seeped and made it to the 10th house, but you're not making money. Now certain people see you and they're like, okay, I see what they're doing. I want to help. I'm going to get into that. And sure, they may be making money as well, right? But one should not fret when this understanding is met. You say, okay, this is how we all can make money, because the best way to make money is to seeing how many other people can you help make money. So 11th house, and that's why it's ruled by Aquarius, because Aquarius is the house of networks and friendships. So it's different from community friendships. I must stress that. It's different from the around the way kids that you grew up with, and it might not even be your best friends there. You may not even like some of the people that are in the 11th house that you meet. However, they are necessary for your dreams and your wishes to come into fruition. Some people you may hear them say, oh, I did it on my own, I did it by myself. They're the face of what they've done. But there are people who help them get to where they are. And that's what 11th house is all about. So let's talk about, let's extend more on that as far as revenues goes, finances. This is not the, this is net revenue. Like this is revenue from streams of income from different businesses that you built. So anything dealing with a corporation, if you have ownership, or even if you're a, what do you call that, a shareholder in another company, let's say you're an investor, right? Say you don't even work like that. You just invest in other people's companies. When you receive those capital gains, that's 11th house. That's 11th house. You made money off of other people and their corporations. Doesn't matter. It's still a great thing, right? But it's revenue apart from whatever you do routinely in the 6th house is pretty much what I'm saying. All right. So even if you run your own company, you might not pay yourself at first. You might just get paid off of the back end as a shareholder. That's still 11th house type revenues and finances. See the difference between 11th house and 12th and 2nd house now? Okay. Now moving right along to the 12th, last but not least house. And I put the word package there. I haven't ever seen an astrologer use that word for the 12th house. The reason why I'm putting package there is because 12th house has the most things inside of it. It has the most different things that you can associate with 12th house, which deals with prisons, hospitals, drugs. It deals with institutions. It deals with isolation. It deals with confidential information. It's also a house of secrets. So the difference between secrets in the 12th house and the difference between secrets in the 8th house is secrets in the 8th house is known by you and possibly those other people that you've met in the 8th house. These secrets are known, but 12th house secrets are confidential information, and those are the secrets that you come across, meaning you have to discover the secrets that are in the 12th house. And that is also why the 12th house is also known for secret treasures. It's the treasure that you have not tapped into yet because you have yet to discover it. It's been unknown to you. 12th house is like a murky house. That's why it's ruled by Pisces, and Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. It's illusion. It's delusions. You think it's not there when it really is there. So this is another reason why it's a house of isolation, because what you're doing in 12th house is after going around a whole entire zodiac wheel and experiencing and interacting with others and everything, this is where you have a by yourself meeting. And you do these things. You assess and you discard what no longer works for you, and you keep what does, and you make a decision on what needs to be added on and moving forward. All right. Now, it will behoove you to do that. Some people don't do this in the 12th house, though. It can get tricky. Some people, instead of self-renewal, they'll self-sabotage. Or they won't get it. So what they'll do is they'll keep repeating the same cycles that put them in situations that they've experienced already that they don't want, but instead of discarding it, they keep it. They hold on to it for whatever reason, right? So it's important to self-renew in the 12th house if you want to better yourself. And that's why I put package, because 12th house also deals with distribution. Okay, so when you go through the whole zodiac wheel, and let's say your career, you're writing books or whatever the case may be, 12 houses when you actually sit by yourself and read the book with your editor and the publisher, and you're like, you go over and you say, you know what, now I want to change the cover rather quickly. Can we do that? We can do that, right? Yeah, I want to change the cover to this because I've experienced this in my travels, and I don't think that picture aligns with the message that I want to get across. So I want to scrap that old picture, and I want to build this new one. I just got an epiphany. I want to make this new one. And then you make it, and then you look at it from a promotional aspect, and you say, yeah, that's it. Now let's package this thing and let's distribute. So you'll see like Pisces in 12th house deals with sales. Okay. So those are the houses. Those are the houses from 1 to 12. And then after you're done with the 12th house, you're ready to go back into the world the same way that an Aries would as a baby. And you say, I don't know nothing, and that's how you become more wise. You say, I don't know nothing. You'll retain some of the information in your memory, of course. In the 12th house, it's there, but you just approach life again like, okay, I want to start fresh all over again with whatever I retained, but I'm ready. So the gates pop back open and you go back out. So this is my lesson for the houses.